Good evening, everybody. It's 7 o'clock, and we are going to get started. Go ahead and get started in making sure that we stay on time, and also knowing that people are a little skittish about what's happening with the weather. So, first of all, we thank you for being here this evening on our June 26, 2023 regular session. So first of all, I will read the public charge. The Board of Commissioners asks its members and citizens to conduct themselves in a respectful, courteous manner, both with the board and fellow citizens. At any time, should any member of the board or any citizen fail to observe this public charge, the chair will ask the offending person to leave the meeting until that individual regains personal control. Should decorum fail to be restored, the chair will recess the meeting until such time that a genuine commitment to the public charge is observed. Commissioner Burns, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
I pledge allegiance
To the flag. So are there any agenda adjustments, commissioners? Hearing none, we will now move on to our announcements, and our clerk, Monica Wallace, will now read our announcements.
Good evening, commissioners and staff and the public. I'll read the announcements that are published in this evening's meeting agenda. Durham Summer Meals Program. The Durham Summer Meals Program, offering free meals to children 18 years and younger, has started. You can text FOOD or COMIDA to 304-304 for meal sites near you. You can also use the food resources locator map to find meal sites near you. Text or check the map frequently over the upcoming weeks because more meal sites will be added throughout the summer. The program runs until August the 18th. Durham Refugee Day 2023. All Durham County residents are invited to celebrate Durham Refugee Day on Saturday, July 8th from 3 till 6 p.m. at Durham Central Park at 501 Foster Street. This day is a community-wide event that celebrates the contributions and cultures of our refugee and immigrant neighbors. It provides an opportunity to stand in solidarity with these communities in a family-friendly setting. There will be live music, community education booths, activities for kids, and food vendors from around the world. Volunteers are needed as well. You can visit DurhamRefugeeDay.com or you can contact NAO at 919-560-9337. Summer reading with the DECO Library. Join us at Durham County Library for this year's summer reading program. Following the theme, All Together Now, you are invited to read with us, track your progress, win prizes, and participate in our wide array of events. Summer reading will run now through July 29th, and additional information can be found at the DurhamCountyLibrary.org website. Register to vote. You can find out information on how to register to vote in Durham County on the Board of Elections webpage, dconc.gov/voters/registration. There you will find information on registration deadlines, how to register in person, online, or by mail, as well as how to do same-day voter registration during early voting. If there are questions, you can contact the Board of Elections at 919-560-0700. Save the date for final comprehensive plan public hearing. Join us at the final Durham Comprehensive Plan public hearing, a special joint city, county, and Board of Commissioners public hearing on Thursday, August 31st at 7 p.m. in the City Council chambers of City Hall. You can find out additional information at engagedurham.com, and you can also sign up for those updates. DECO Agricultural Economic Development Grant Program. The Agricultural Economic Development Grant Program offers cost-share grants to assist farmers and nonprofits in their agricultural endeavors and to promote agricultural development and outdoor environmental learning centers in schools. It will provide two types of grants: small grants for agricultural development in schools up to $1,500 and grants for farmers up to $10,000. Training sessions are on July 11th, 13th, and 18th, either in person or virtual, and registration is required. Please contact Sherry Scully at 919-560-0558. There is one additional announcement not on the agenda. Durham County government will close most offices in recognition of the Independence Day holiday on Tuesday, July 4th. All county offices will reopen with their normal hours on Wednesday, July 5th. And I will also ask Jim Groves from the Department of Environmental Services to come up to speak really briefly about the weather that we are expecting this evening.
Good evening, Commissioners, Madam Manager, Mr. Attorney. Folks, I'm Jim Groves. I'm your Office of Emergency Services Director. We do have an increased risk of severe weather tonight, so I want to make sure everyone understands, one, what the notification is going to sound like, and then two, where to go. So if you've ever heard one of those Amber Alerts on your phone, it's a very annoying tone that'll let you know, wake you up in the middle of the night. It'll let you know if there's a tornado warning or a severe thunderstorm warning or things like that. So your electronic devices, if you signed up for Alert Durham, if you haven't, alertdurham.com, you'll receive an immediate notification of that. So it'll come through your electronic device. We're going to be in the room as well. So the public that is in the chairs here, if we do get a warning that's saying that we should shelter in place, most likely that's going to be because of a tornado. I'm going to ask you all to move to the back of the room. In the last 2 or 3 rows, either cover your head or lay on the ground behind the chairs in this room. So the public will stay in this room. We just ask you to move back and away from the glass right here. Commissioners, Mr. Attorney, Mr. Sheriff, Madam Manager, you'll go through this room, back through your conference room, go into the hallway. Just outside of your conference room, you'll close that conference room door. You'll make sure that the door to the stairwell is closed, and you'll stay there until the all clear is given. That's what we have. We don't know that anything is going to happen. I see a bunch of somber faces. We would rather be prepared to make sure that if it does happen, you all know what to do. But right now, it looks like it's around Greensboro. We've probably got another 20, 40 minutes, just depends on how things work. And the last thing I'll say is if you see me running, try to keep up and you'll be just fine.
So you didn't know that you might get to spend the entire evening with us, huh? So, well, I think we're going to be fine. So let's just get on through this meeting so that everyone can be home and safe. Our next item, and thank you, Jim, for doing what you do to make sure that we're safe and taken care of. Thank you. The next item, Commissioners, is our...
I'd like to make if we have time for more announcements. We have opportunity.
Sure, you have an announcement?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I just wanted One, to celebrate that President Biden announced today his team, the $40 billion worth of infrastructure investment. North Carolina is going to be getting over $1.5 billion of that money, which is going to be really, really impactful in helping over 4 million North Carolina residents who don't have access to reliable broadband. And so we hope that hopefully some of that money also comes to Durham. I'm sure we'll be having conversations through Deborah with our legislators. And then the second announcement I had was that this Wednesday is actually a holiday within our Muslim community. It's called Eid. And so just wanted to let everyone know a happy Eid, Eid Mubarak. And if you have any of your colleagues, team members that are Muslim, be sure to wish them. And also, I brought some cookies to celebrate with everyone. Please feel free to help yourself. I'll also put them at the back of the room if it's easier. They do have pistachios, so please be cautious if you have nut allergies. Thank you.
Okay, Commissioner Burns?
Mine is relatively quick. You know, I always like to do the job announcements. I don't know if you all have taken the time to look at, I was about to say Commissioner Sowell, but it's County Man. You know, I threw you in there with us tonight since we're missing Wendy. But Dr. Sowell does do a really great newsletter. If you have not subscribed, please do so. But I would also encourage you all to go to our website. Go to our Facebook page. There was one ad in there this week that I particularly liked, and we didn't announce it, but it's the BioAg Pro. So I don't think a lot of people think about Durham or RTP as an ag tech sector, but it is. We have over 174 companies in the Triangle, a lot of them mainly here in Durham. And so there is a certification that Durham Tech is offering right now. They are covering tuition, and they are doing 160 hours of internships. And it is a paid internship. So that's complete tuition, complete fees, paid during the time that you're in school. And what they try to do is get you an opportunity in those spaces. And what we are seeing at the end of this certification that costs anywhere from $96 to $900 is a $60,000 job. So if you know somebody who was looking, think about this. While they're in school, we paying them, they're getting training, and there's a job at the end. We do that with BioWorks. We do that with the Bulls Initiative. Now we're doing this with something with agriculture. So there's something out there for everybody. Please take the time to go and look at the manager's newsletter. He puts opportunities like this all the time. Thank you.
Okay, hearing none. The only other thing that I want to lift up is, what Duke did this past week around scholarship, around tuition for students, incoming students that are families making under $150,000 a year is extraordinary. And we just need to lift that up and be thankful for the work that they're doing around making sure that our young people that are not making $150,000 a year can get a great education and be able to go to Duke. So, there are a lot of other universities around here with NCCU, and we've got and NC State, but for Duke to make this kind of move is really extraordinary, and we do appreciate the work that they're doing. Given that we are in a town that, the article that I read the last couple of days talked about where we are as a county. Durham County is listed as, among the top 25 places to live in the South. And this is in a recent U.S. News and World Report ranking. And as I read that article, I'm really curious. I didn't get through the whole article, but what was there for me was wondering what was the demographics and what were the things that they took into account that we rated that. Did they look at people that are homeless? Did they look at people that don't make $100,000 a year? So I'm really curious, and if you have an opportunity to research that, any of you, I know there are researchers in the room, look at that we are rated that way. So that says to people that are coming to Durham that we are really, really in a great place, and we are, but not everybody. So Durham does good, but we just got to keep on working so that a lot more people do good. All right, if there are no other announcements, I'm going to move on to our minutes. Commissioners, we have minutes before us for June 5th, 2023, our work session minutes. Are there any edits to those minutes or additions?
Madam Chair, I make a motion that we approve the minutes as written.
Okay, it's been moved and properly second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Motion is approved, 4-0. Next item is a ceremonial item. It's 230416, a proclamation, Durham Refugee Day. The board is requested to proclaim July 8th, 2023 as Durham Refugee Day in Durham. And I will read this proclamation. We only have one tonight, Commissioners. Normally we have quite a few. I will go ahead and read this one. And then I believe, see who's in the, is it Nao that's here to accept it? Do we have someone to accept the proclamation? And no one's here? Donna's here? Okay. So Donna, if you will come to the podium after I read this, would be great. Durham Board of Commissioners Proclamation, Durham Refugee Day 2023. Whereas the overwhelming majority of people seeking refuge through the Office of the United States High Commission for Refugees and the United States Department of State are vulnerable women and children who will otherwise remain in harm's way. And whereas a significant portion of refugees fleeing to the United States are coming to join family members from whom they have been separated for years. And whereas the United States has a proud humanitarian tradition since the late 1970s of welcoming refugees of all nationalities and religions, a tradition which is deeply grounded in our most fundamental and deeply held nation's values. And whereas Durham County has a longstanding commitment not only to bring open and welcoming to immigrants and refugees, but also to understanding that our immigrant and refugee communities are integral to the life of our community. Now, therefore, I, Brenda A. Howerton, Chair and on behalf of the Board of County Commissioners, do hereby proclaim July 8th, 2023 as Durham Refugee Day in Durham County, and hereby urge all residents to take note of this observance and commend to the residents of Durham the celebration of this day and our refugee and immigrant community. This the 26th day of June 23, the Board of County Commissioners.
Thank you, Chair Howerton. On behalf of NIO, our City County Refugee Affairs Coordinator, and all of our refugee serving partners, I'd like to accept this proclamation on their behalf. We're really excited about the celebration, which you all highlighted in your announcements, that is happening on July 8th from 3 to 6 p.m. at Durham Central Park. It will be a wonderful time to learn about all the many, many, many refugees in Durham County and also have a little bit of fun. There's going to be things for the kids, there's going to be different kinds of food, and just an all-around good time and a great opportunity for families to get to know our refugees and their families as well in our community. And so I thank you for this proclamation, and I hope to see many of you there on July 8th.
Thank you, Donna. Any comments from commissioners? Comments or questions? Commissioner Alum?
Thank you so much, Chairman, for this proclamation, and Donna and Nayo for all of the work that you guys have been doing around our refugee community. I think it's really important to highlight this work and also highlight this vibrant part of our community that's the fastest growing part of our community. Refugees and immigrants are growing at a higher rate than any other population within the triangle. And so it's really important for us to make sure that everyone feels welcomed and safe, and especially when it comes to our refugees, to remember that these aren't people who are just choosing to come to America. These are people that are fleeing catastrophe. These are people who are fleeing political turmoil. And to be able to come here, leaving everything behind, leaving oftentimes their family behind, their home, all of their wealth, their jobs, everything. So to just be able to open up our hearts and our community to them, to make them find peace for everything that they've gone through, to be able to find just an area of sanctuary within Durham. So I look forward to this event being just that. Thank you.
Nothing more to add. That was lovely. Thanks for speaking on our behalf. And I would just say thanks to NIO for giving us this opportunity, organizing and giving us this opportunity to stand in solidarity with our refugee and immigrant community and our neighbors.
Thank you. Commissioner Burns?
I'm just going to say ditto because I'm going to beg you for 60 seconds at the end of consent agenda. So I'll wait until the end.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Donna and Nayo, for all the work that you do. Okay, Commissioners, we are down to our consent agenda. And for the public, these are items that we as a board has discussed. Staff has provided information and detailed reports to us. And right now we have 26 consent items on the agenda to approve. Are there any items that commissioners wish to pull? Hearing none, I will entertain a motion for approval.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion that we can approve the consent agenda as is.
It has been moved and properly second to approve the consent agenda. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. The motion is approved 4-0. I keep wanting to say 5. It's 4-0. Passes.
Madam Chair, can I beg for my 60 seconds now?
You want 60 seconds?
Yes, can I beg for my 60 seconds now? It'll be 60, I promise you. You're going to be happy.
Is this about the consent agenda?
Yeah, and also to say happy birthday to you. Say happy birthday, Brenda. Y'all. See? Yay, happy birthday, Brenda, to the chair. And also, I see a lot of y'all using these fans, and we are moving expeditiously so that we can get everybody out of here because nobody wants to be in Twister 2. But I want you all to know that this is a $100 million fan that you're holding in your hands. We do not always have this many people in our meetings, especially our last one. And I'm going to go on and say it and shame the devil. We don't have this many brothers in here. So this $100 million fan that y'all got in front of y'all, I want y'all to go home and look in it because it's $60 million of capital improvements. It's $6 million for pre-K. It's $6 million for affordable housing. It's another $1 million for agriculture, and there's a plethora of other things. So when you walk out of here, I want you to take this fan that you got in your hand and look at all the stuff that we're doing because it's going into your community, and I don't want you to be left out of it, and I don't want you to think that the hard work that this woman did on her birthday is going out in vain. I see my professor out there, Dr. Baines. He said, whenever you do a presentation, tell them what you're going to tell them, and tell them why I told you. I told you because this is going to save your life. That was my 60 seconds.
And if she takes one more second, I'm gonna make her pull these agendas, and then y'all gonna be upset. So yeah. So we don't pull the agendas and discuss all of the items unless there are some questions. Otherwise, we keep staff here till midnight, and we don't want to keep you here till midnight either. So that's why we move through this with some pace here. So thanks, Commissioner Burns. And now, given that we voted on this and it has been approved, we will go ahead and move to number 7, our public hearing. 230450, public hearing to consider the naming request for Lowell L. Seiler Lobby. The board is requested to hold a public hearing to consider naming the lobby of the Administrative 2 building after Lowell L. Seiler, former county manager, during this public hearing. The board will hear public comments, provide additional feedback, and approve the request. And we have Shannon Trapp, Chief of Staff, here to discuss this item. Shannon?
Good evening, Chair Howerton, Commissioners, Madam Manager, County Attorney, Mr. Andrews. I am here to present to you all again the information that was laid out for you on June 5th with a few edits based on the conversations that we've since had with General Services. And at the conclusion of that, we will have our public hearing for the naming of the Lowell L. Seiler Lobby. Again, this just reiterates what the naming and renaming policy is for Durham County, but I have left this here for your information and for the benefit of those who have joined us this evening. The naming committee is also listed here. And now we'll go to the request. The original application was received February 3rd, with a revised application coming forward on March 2nd. The request was submitted by the Durham Committee on the Affairs of Black People and the Beta Phi chapter of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated, which you'll see we have members of both organizations here joining us this evening. The request was made in honor of the first African-American Durham County attorney serving for over 36 years. We would like to name the Lowell L. Seiler Lobby, located on the first floor of Admin 2, which is located at 201 East Main Street, Durham, North Carolina. So the committee recommendation is that we place a photo of Lowell Seiler to hang in the lobby with a silver mat and frame measuring approximately 30 by 32. This is a tad larger than the original recommendation. The framing would be silver as opposed to being wood, and you'll see in the next slide why we came to this revision. Based on Commissioner Burns' recommendation, we are looking at having the lobby letters engraved, but that is not a quick turnaround, and so we have a temporary idea before we can do the engravement that will actually go into the wall. We are recommending that we have this event the week of July 10th through the 14th, noting that Mr. Seiler's birthday is on July 14th. So here are the two options that you all came up with when you decided. You will note, Commissioner Alone, that we have added those photos so that you can get an idea of what it would look like on each wall. And one is when you walk into Admin 2, for the benefit of the audience, the option 1 is when you walk in Admin 2, it is the wall that is directly facing you. Option 2 is when you walk in Admin 2, it is the wall that is on your left. And this is what it would look like. We would we already have signage in Admin 2 lobby that's on the right, and so we like to copy that signage to make it look more symmetrical, more uniform. And so you'd have a large silver plaque which measures about 30 by 32. It's a rather large piece. It is attached and affixed, Commissioner Burns, so it cannot be removed. And we would have Lowell L. Seiler Lobby engraved in silver on the silver above the photo with the inscription below, which reads, Lowell L. Seiler, Durham County Attorney, 2009 to 2022, years of service, 1987 to 2022. So our next steps following to this evening's public hearing, we would have the final approval, hopefully from you all, and then we would get to planning the unveiling event that we would recommend being held on July 14th. Of course, we would do that in consultation with our guests here from the committee and from the Omega Psi Phi fraternity. So the board is requested to vote to approve the location of the portrait, plaque, and lettering honoring Lowell L. Seiler, and separately to approve the action to name the Admin 2 lobby the Lowell L. Seiler Lobby. This time, I think you're ready for your public hearing. I am.
Oh, well, thank you, Shannon, so much for this work that you've done. It's you know, we started with this back in February, and it's so great to get to this point. So, could you go back to the photo, the placement?
Oh, yes.
I guess I'm wondering, is that the TV picture, is that going to be distractive?
That was some of your comments at the last meeting. Some of you thought that may be distracting, that the TV was there, and you wanted to give the naming its own highlight. And so the second recommendation is away from that distraction, and it sits on the wall paneling on the left when you enter the lobby. And so I think we took out the third option because none of you like that one. And so
Right,
these are the two
right.
that you came down to. But it was noted by a couple of you on June 5th that the TV might be distracting, and you really wanted to highlight the lobby.
Yeah, I'm leaning toward the option 2, but I want to hear from, 'cause that seems to be the nod from the rest of the commissioners. I want to see a nod from, okay, I'm seeing some fingers, some ups. What I'm here seeing from out there? The 2? Okay. I'm getting some
It
nods
looks
from the 2.
unanimous. It looks
For the 2.
unanimous.
Yeah, all right. So, and that was a question.
I had a question regarding the second, if you go to the next slide.
Yeah.
So these plaques, where will they be in relation to the other photo?
These plaques are already there. So when you walk into the Admin 2 lobby and you walk in on the right doors, the entrance
They're not
doors,
gonna be- okay.
those plaques are already on the right. So this will be exactly across. The Seiler photo and hanging will be on the left. So they're directly across from each other.
Just wanted to confirm they're not gonna be like moved or anything. Can you go back to the other one?
Sure.
Sorry, thank you,
No
Shannon, so
problem.
much. I really like the second one. I'm thinking, and this may be a little too extra, if like we have the name and the picture on the left side, but just to keep something on the front one, if we have his name still up at the top, but have his picture on the left, so his name would be twice in the lobby then? Because that way you could at least see it. as you
So
walk in
based
and
on
then-
your recommendation, so on the left, we would have the photo, which
And the
would
name.
still say Lower El Seiler Lobby on it, but then also directly in front, we would do the engraving. Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah, I was thinking, just a suggestion, see if like what everyone else also thinks. Just that way, so when you walk in, you see Lowell Seiler Lobby, and then also on your left, you'll have the picture and the plaque. But that way, you see it no matter where you look.
I think that's a great recommendation. We can definitely talk to ACM Delgado and his team about that.
And that would be engraved, and let me see the engraving again on the other side.
So this is where we show the engraving and how it looks. The next picture shows where it would be engraved in the frame.
And, okay, and that would be on the right side.
Yeah, that will be on your left side when you walk in. So when you walk into Admin 2 lobby, when you walk in, there's a desk in the middle,
Right?
and then there's that wooden wall is on the
That's
left.
right side from walking in. Oh, the wooded side is on the left.
Yes.
Right. Okay,
wooden side's
gotcha.
on the left. And these plaques that are already here are on the right.
Gotcha. I'm cool with that. Any other questions? We're good?
I'm not saying nothing. Last time we talked about low, I cried, and I want all these people to see me cry. Trying to be tough tonight.
Okay, so if there's no other questions from the board, I will open a public hearing. And we have some individuals signed up to speak. First person is Antonio Jones.
And Madam Chair, would you also have them say what organization they represent, because you wanted both organizations to be?
Okay, he didn't put an organization on this one.
And Madam Chair, we'll also want a motion to open the public hearing.
Okay, I don't have to have a motion to open the public hearing. I just open the public hearing. Okay. Unless my attorney tells me that I do. If my attorney tells me I do, I will do that, but normally I don't.
Okay, for this action, if you could, it'd be great.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
I second.
It's been moved and properly seconded that we open the public hearing, and all in favor?
Aye.
Been
Thank you.
approved 4-0. Okay, thank you. Antonio?
Madam County Manager, good brother County Attorney.
And you have 2 minutes.
Thank you. My name is Antonio Jones, and I stand before you as the immediate past chair of the Durham Committee on the Affairs of Black People, and also the second vice bosses of Beta Phi Chapter Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated. And as the applicant and co-applicant, this came to us, many of us know Brother Siler in many capacities. They came from Goldsboro to come to North Carolina Central University to study public administration, which was my major, with his former professor here, Dr. Tyrone Baines, and for 36 years he has served this community well. So oftentimes with the Durham Committee, we focus on issues specifically dealing with the impact of Black residents in Durham, but Brother Siler impacted every resident in Durham. I think if we look at how Durham has changed in 36 years, he negotiated countless hundreds of millions of dollars in contracts. He kept us out of some serious hot water. He actually was a friend to many people beyond just a county attorney. And I think if we look at and poll the employees of Durham County, he had many friends that he had met over the years. And one thing about him is, I personally called him on a bunch of random issues. I'm a student of public administration as well, and he was always cool, calm, and collected. Had a couple good jokes, and you remember that slick white hair, So of all the many things that he's done, I think naming a lobby would be a great way to show our support for his years of dedication to Durham County. Initially we wanted to name the whole building just for context, but back in 2016, the Board of Commissioners voted not to name whole buildings anymore. So if that was not the case, it would have been the Lowell Siler County Administration Building number 2. But we will take the naming of the lobby, as a great way to show respect to our good brother. So there are going to be several speakers to come up, so I won't give it all to you right now. We'll let the other speakers fill in the gaps of the impact that Brother Siler has had on many people beyond Durham and beyond the fraternity as well. So again, anyone here who stand in support of naming Admin Building 2 lobby after Lowell L. Siler, would you please stand? And that includes county employees as well. I don't think this is a political moment. So, Madam Chair, if you let the record show that I think we have unanimous support in the room to name the lobby and county admin building after the longest serving and first Black county attorney in Durham County. All right, thank you.
I'll give you 3 minutes. You can take 1 more minute.
Okay.
You actually took it already.
Okay. I'll yield my time for another topic. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Antonio. The next speaker is Henry Pruitt. No?
Henry? It doesn't matter. Whichever.
Over here.
Madam Chairman, Shirley, I'm sorry, County Commissioners, City Attorney. This was a great idea, naming the lobby for my dear friend, Lowell Siler. He worked for the county faithfully for 36 years. I worked with him a lot of that time. I have never seen anyone in my life a better counselor at law. You always hear attorney and counselor at law. Lowell was a counselor at law. Lowell was a master of listening to all sides of an argument, finding common ground, diffusing conflict. I've been in the law business for more years than I care to count. And I can tell you it's easy to file a lawsuit, start a war, push, until all sides have drawn their swords. That wasn't Lowell. While some around him raged, he quietly counseled, and got the best results for his client. Lowell's office reminded me of a lobby. His door was always open. There were no restrictions on who could enter. He tried to help all comers. If he didn't have an answer, he'd find it, or he'd find the person who had it. The lobby's door is always open, welcoming everyone. There's an information booth directing each visitor to the department that will hopefully help them with their problem. If one department doesn't work, maybe the next will. I can think of no better honor than to name a lobby after such a great counselor at law as my dear friend, Lowell.
Thank you. The next speaker is Clayton Jones. And after Clayton is Philip Terry.
Good evening, Madam Chair,
Good
Commissioner,
evening.
Madam County Attorney, Brother County Manager, County Attorney. I'm standing here wearing two hats as the immediate past boss of the Beta Phi chapter of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated, and also as your Chief District Court Judge here in Durham County. And I started my career across the street at 201 East Main Street. And I walked in the lobby every day. And I had great mentors. Had the great Butch Williams, Wendell Davis, Larry Hall. And if you know, being an attorney, you would think it's an adversarial profession. But no one was better than the great Lowell Sowlers, being that counselor, mentor, and advisor who taught you the practice of law. I graduated from the North Carolina Central University School of Law. You learn the law, but it's a different world than sitting in the courtroom and have to practice the law. And have someone who is willing to step out and teach you how to do it, no greater man than Brother Sowler. So you're going to hear a lot of other comments talking about how great this man is, but I can tell you, I would not be where I am now but for the things he taught me. And we like to talk about the first, and he was the first black county manager. I stand as your first African-American Chief District Court Judge because of Brother Sowler. So to have the building, and well, not the building, we hope for the building, but have the lobby named after him with a building I walked into for 14 years before we have the new courthouse, would be no other greater honor. So I'll ask you to please join in naming the lobby after him. Thank you. And since Brother Antonio Jones used all that time, I'll yield my rest of my time to Brother Terry.
I just want to say thank you, Madam Chair, County Commissioners, County Attorney, for letting us come out. My name is Philip Terry. I am the president/bossless of Omega Psi Phi, the Beta Phi chapter of Omega Psi Phi. And we're grateful for allowing us to present today and asking or requesting for our brother Lowell Sowler to be honored by you all, by the county, because of our simple principle, which is friendship is essential to the soul. And Brother Sowler was a friend to the Durham community. When I asked anybody about him, they would just say he was a great person, he was a friend, but more than anything else, my favorite thing about him is that he got things done. And so we're honored and we're requesting, I think everyone has done a great job explaining why we're requesting today, but we're honored to say, please let our friend be honored by you all so that we can continue to show the world here in Durham how much of a friend Lowell Sowler was to our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Michael Palmer.
Good evening, Commissioners.
Good evening.
I could reference all kinds of relationships I have with Lowell. We're in two fraternities together and that sort of thing. And we were colleagues here in Durham County government. We both came in the late 80s. I stayed here through, I think it was 80s, 99. But Lowell was the consummate or the ultimate public servant. He had the head and the heart for this work. He was smart in the sense that he understood process and how to get things done, but he loved people. And every type of issue or problem I would bring to Lowell, he would just pour himself into it and try to find an answer. Again, counselor, as folks mentioned. And that was more than just, because we were friends, so people would come to me with issues and challenges, my sons, their friends, et cetera. And if there was, particularly if it was a legal issue, I would pick up the phone, call Lowell. He would give me, he would explain things to me. He would also maybe make a referral as to who someone might need to talk to learn more about whatever issue they were seeking to address. So I want to thank you for what you're doing in terms of recognizing my friend, because every time I come in this building and walk through that hall, and believe me, when I was deputy and assistant county manager, I crossed that hall 1,000 times to go to his office and to consult. And so I thank you for, with what you're about to do, because every time I come in here, I feel his spirit. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. I see Butch Williams back there. Butch, if you'd like to have a few minutes, you are more than welcome to do that. And if there is anyone here from the Durham Committee, I don't see Walter. There you are. Okay. Okay. Thank you. I just want to make sure that I acknowledge you. Thank you.
Vice Chair is also here. I
Yeah,
just wanted to
and
know
the
that.
Vice Chair is here as well. Yes. Yeah.
Good morning. Good afternoon, rather.
Good afternoon. It's all right. It's all right.
I'm Cap. That's them right there. That's a totally different situation. But they all right, what they did. No, those good friends. As a matter of fact, I was with we were together in 1972 with him for 52 years with Low. I was a Kappa and he was a Q. And we stayed there for at least 3 years together that way. Think about that. We had great times. We had great times. When he came in 1984. He came to my office as an attorney. And he stayed there for 1987. Why? Because he came to Durham and he had the guy that was running the show. What's my man? The big man. When I say he ran the show here in Durham. And he said, well, Butch and Ken, I want him. I want him. And he came this time, and what he has done over the years, it was for Durham. Everything in Durham, as the attorney for here, that's what he wanted. Right before he got hurt, it was on a Monday. I remember it was on a Monday. He was coming at 5 o'clock to come deal with y'all. And he had a problem, and he had to go to Duke at that period of time, and that was the end of it. But while he was there, the whole time he was there, he kept calling back to Durham, calling the lady who runs the show. I need to do this for Durham. I need this for us. And I said, man, you need to stop. You don't, Duke is over there. You got to be where where you are. And he said, no, I got to take care of Durham for us. I've got to do that. And that's what he did until he got really messed up. So I say for my man, I'm glad that y'all are doing something for him because he did so much for y'all until he got really messed up. He was right there, and that's my man. Thank you for come up and talk.
Thank you, Butch. Anyone else? We will, do we need a motion to close the public hearing?
You can close the public hearing and then we can go into voting.
So we don't need a motion to close public hearing?
I'm sorry. Yes, please do a motion.
Okay.
Closing.
So we're doing it a little differently tonight, audience. So I just want to make sure that we're doing it properly and in order. So I will ask for a motion to close the public hearing?
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion that we close the public hearing.
And we need a second.
Second.
So it's been moved and properly second to close the public hearing. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion is approved 4-0. It comes back to commissioners. Are there any questions, comments from commissioners?
I just want to state for the public record that we did get an email that said it would be in silver, but I just want the Omegas to know on record. I asked for it to be in gold. It was the lady in the pink that didn't want it to be gold. So I just want you to know, it's her car y'all want to get. But no, other than that, I'm good to go, Madam Chair. Sorry.
I just want to say thank you so much for all of you to be here tonight. And I know that we're all doing this out of love for a man that loved us and loved Durham. And we will all dearly miss him, but we'll all also honor him in doing this. One question I have is on the 14th, what time?
We would work with you and the rest of the commissioners, as well as the committee and the fraternity, and work out a time.
And we will notify the community what time that will be on the 14th.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right.
Madam,
Yes.
could I quickly just say something?
Sure.
I just really wanted to say thank you to the Durham Committee for bringing this forward, and Omega Psi Phi for bringing this to us, for giving us this opportunity to honor him in this way. And I thought your comments tonight really rang true. Yours as well, sir. And am just thrilled that we're getting to do this. And I really wanted to thank you, Shannon, for bringing the pictures with the two options, because I believe that we were leaning towards option one at our work session without having, actually seen it. But when you see it, it's really clear that on that wooden wall, it just stands out, and it really is. It just stands out in such an important way, I think, for the honor. Thank you, everyone.
You guys. I'm making sure that I have plenty of tissues. All right. Were you finished, Heidi? I'm sorry. All right, so we're a little emotional here. When you work as closely as we did with someone for 15 years, he kept me out of trouble a lot. So, and as Al over here knows, as our attorneys are vital to this board, that they keep us out of trouble. So Lowell was a friend and a lawyer to us. So we appreciate your friendship and you being here and honoring him. So thank you. All right, we are going to move on to.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
just one more. We need to formally approve the item. So, because we had two actions. So we approved placement, but I think just for the record, if we could have a vote to approve per the policy, to approve the naming.
Okay, Bernie, now where is that on? That's not on my note. So what is it that?
So
you would like?
we would like to have someone make a motion to approve the naming request for the lobby of the Admin 2 building for Durham County to be named the Lowell L. Seiler Lobby. And we'll just take that vote for the record.
Madam Chair,
So the motion that we made already and approved does not apply, so we need a separate motion.
We bifurcated the action so you could select the location. And so you selected the location. And then there's the approval of the item post the public hearing. you made a vote to select location, then we had a public hearing, and everyone requested that the board approve the formal item. So we're just simply tying that bow, and we'd like for you all to make a motion to approve the naming per the policy, and just have that for the record.
Okay, would somebody make that motion?
Madam Chair, per county policy, I would like to make a motion that we name the admin two lobby the Lowell L. Seiler Lobby.
Moved and properly second to, per policy, name the lobby of the administration 1 building, admin 2 lobby, the Lowell Seiler Lobby. All in favor?
Aye.
Approved 4-0. All right, does that do it? Okay, great. Thank you. All right. All right, so
Hey, Wendell Davis.
we see you. We see you. All right. So as our next item, Commissioners, is another public hearing, 230456, a public hearing on not to exceed $60 million general obligation refunding bond series 2023, adoption of bond order and adoption of bond resolution. So now the board is requested to hold a public hearing for the insurance of general obligation refunding bonds series 2023, not to exceed $60 million. Following the public hearing, the board is requested to adopt the attached bond order and adopt the attached bond resolution, which authorizes the general obligation refunding bonds, I don't know why that sounds weird, series 2023, $60 million in an amount not to exceed $60 million. And we have Crystal Wright, Interim Chief Financial Officer, here to discuss.
Good evening. Good evening, Chair Howerton. Good evening, Commissioners. Good evening, County Manager Dr. Sewell. Good evening, Attorney Andrews. I bring you greetings on tonight. We came before you on June 12th. We requested that we would have to see if we can hold a public hearing on tonight for the insurance of the GO bonds that does not exceed $60 million. And so I ask that you grant us that the opening of the public hearing on tonight, and after the public hearing, I ask that request that you adopt the bond order and the bond resolution. With me on tonight again, I have Carlos Manzano, and also I have our staff here, which is Joe Fatima, who is the Assistant CFO for Debt, as well as Jamelia Wilson-Davis, who is the Senior Accountant for Debt and Treasury.
Good evening, everybody. If I could just say a few words. My name is Carlos Manzano. I am the bond counsel. I'm an attorney at Parker Poe, Adams & Bernstein, and bond counsel for the county. Like Madam Chair mentioned and Christy mentioned, this is the next set of actions to hold the public hearing to adopt the bond order and to adopt the bond resolution to the issuance of the county's Series 2023 refunding bonds. Like Chrisley mentioned, the purpose of the bonds is to refinance a 2021 bond that the county issued in 2021, obviously, which financed projects authorized by the county's referendum authority in 2016. And in refunding these bonds, the county would take a short-term variable rate bond and refinance it with a long-term fixed rate bond. And I'm happy to answer any questions on the process or any of the documents.
Okay, so let's make sure that we follow procedure to the T here. So, commissioners, do you have any questions for staff? Or Monica, do you read yours first? Or,
Well, if they have questions, I think they can go ahead and ask those, but
okay.
no questions?
So
Okay.
Commissioners, if you have any.
Okay.
Okay. At this time, I'll ask the clerk to read the information pertaining to the bond order and the public hearing.
Good evening. I would like to report to the board that the bond order entitled Bond Order Authorizing the Issuance of $60 Million General Obligation Refunding Bonds of the County of Durham, North Carolina, which was introduced at a meeting of the board held on June 12th, 2023, was published on June 20th, 2023, with notice that the board would hold a public hearing thereon on June 26, 2023 at 7 p.m. I'd also like to report that there has been filed in my office a statement of debt showing the net indebtedness of the county to be 1.24% of the assessed valuation of property in the county subject to taxation, and a statement of disclosure showing the estimated total interest to be paid on the proposed bonds over the expected term of the bonds is $35,434,933.33.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion that the county now hold the public hearing, notice of which has been properly made as referenced by the clerk on the general obligation refunding bond order. Okay, we need a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 4-0. The board will now hear anyone who wishes to be heard on the question of the validity of the general obligation refunding bond order and the advisability of issuing the general obligation refunding bonds. The clerk has a copy of the bond order and the notice of public hearing relating thereto, if anyone would like to see a copy.
And Chair Howerton, we do not have anyone signed up to speak.
So I move that the public hearing be closed. Okay. It's been moved and properly second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 4-0. I now move that the board adopt the general obligation refunding bond order entitled Bond Order Authorizing the Issuance of $60 million of general obligation refunding bond of the County of Durham, North Carolina, which was introduced at the meeting of the board held on June 12th, 2023, and direct the clerk to publish a notice of adoption of the bond order as prescribed by the Local Government Bond Act. Is there any discussion of this motion? Okay, it's been moved and properly second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 4-0. Finally, we have a resolution entitled A Resolution of the Bond of Commissioners of the County of Durham, North Carolina, providing for the issuance of County of Durham, North Carolina, before the board for consideration. Is there a motion to adopt the resolution?
I move for the adoption of the resolution.
Been moved and properly second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Is there any further discussion? Hearing none. This is complete. Is there anything else that need to be done from the clerk or attorney on this? Is it complete?
Very good.
You're good.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Cool. Some things you have to walk it through. Okay. All right. Now we are down to item number 230326. Durham Sports Commission update on sports complex future development use opportunities. So the board is requested to review an update on the Durham Sports Commission work towards preparing a recommendation on a major sports complex for Durham and provide feedback on the scope. So we have Susan Amy, President of and CEO Discover Durham here, and Marcus Manning, Executive Director of Durham Sports Commission. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair Howerton, County Commissioners and staff. Thank you very much for having us and making time for this evening. Just to make sure we've got a clicker here and Marcus will be able to advance slides. Will that work? And we're set up? Okay. Yeah. All right. Very good. Thank you. Well, thanks for making time to give us an opportunity to give you an update on our progress toward defining our recommendations on a multi-sport complex for Durham. We last spoke to you about this in October of last year, and at that time we gave you a brief introduction. You asked us to keep you updated on our progress, and we've made progress on a number of fronts that we wanted to tell you about. We're also preparing to come to you with a final recommendation this fall, and we want to take an opportunity now to hear from you. So as a quick bit of background and a reminder about some things that are pertinent to the presentation tonight, the city, the county, Discover Durham, and the Durham Chamber formed the Sports Commission 7 years ago with a mission to create economic and social impact for Durham through sports and sports tourism. Since then, even with the pandemic eating up almost half of that time, the DSC has helped create over $90 million in economic impact. It's brought new events, It's brought new events, including 4 national and 7 state championships, a number of conference championships that have included this year's CIAA track and field one, and provided grants of more than $500,000 to help local events expand and prosper. And Marcus and Chair Howerton represented Durham in helping win the bid for the World University Games to be held in North Carolina in 2029. Despite that early success, our capacity for hosting sports teams and tournaments is still very limited compared to what a lot of communities across the state and across the country can do. Our residents don't have as much access to sports play and competition as people in other areas. And a community growing as fast as ours we all know it's critical that we are urgently planning for the future. So working with some of the industry's top consultants, we've conducted a study to define what it will take to support our youth and adults with competitive sports facilities, and we've developed today's presentation to articulate the benefits to the community and especially for our kids. Tonight, Marcus is going to walk us through the foundation and rationale for where we believe Durham needs to go. Later this calendar year, we're going to come back to you with a full proposal, and we'll be asking for commitment at that time. Not a budget commitment, but a commitment to work together with Discover Durham, the Durham Sports Commission, and the city to create a path for how we can fund, create, and manage the new facilities, presumably as a collaboration of public and private enterprise. So today our goal is to present you with not only the background and rationale for this project, but what our next steps are and what we plan to present to you in this fall so that you can give us any feedback you have on anything we might not be thinking about, because we want to make sure in the fall that we have given you everything you need to feel that you can make a fully informed decision about this. So I will turn it over to Marcus.
Thank you, Susan, and I just want to ask. Can you hear me?
Closer.
Is that better?
Only if you speak a little louder. You got that outside voice. Come on, let's have it.
Is that better?
That's better.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just want to echo Susan and thank you all for the opportunity to be here and really talk about this potential community asset. And that's what we're talking about here in terms of a sports complex is a community asset for Durham. And with that, one of the great things about going through this process is you get to learn. And one of the things we learned about was Aspen Institute and Project Play. Project Play was developed really for two missions. One is to create access and opportunities for every child in the United States, regardless of zip code. The other, celebrate positive benefits of participation in sports. And so what we want to do, Project Play has been around for a decade. And so just wanted to play a short clip of celebrating the 10 years that Project Play has been in existence. See if we can get the video to work. May need help to. Okay, no video. That's okay. We'll we'll adjust course here. So part of that video, it talked about just the opportunity to participate and the benefits of participation. So as we move forward here, Project Play during the pandemic wanted to understand the desired outcomes for their children. And they want to understand the parents' desired outcomes. And what came about was, number one, mental health. So they really wanted participation in sports, the positive benefit to be positive impact on mental health. You fast forward to 2022, and I want you to focus in the right-hand corner. You can see there that the mental health parents felt like in 2022 being surveyed that their sons and daughters' mental health improved through the pandemic. 58% of the parents felt like this happened, this occurred, where sports improves mental health. The other part that Project Play has done a great job in is just really explaining the benefits of participating from early childhood to adulthood. I won't go through the entire chart here, but you can see that participating in sport has a positive impact on your academic experience, a positive impact on the opportunity to go to college, supporting higher self-esteem. And as you go through adulthood and like me, you try to live out your dream and you continue to play sports even at the recreational level, it makes you more productive at work. So just that benefit from early childhood to adulthood, you can see participation in sports is one of those key factors. Participating even at the community sport level, you have that sense of safety within the environment, which we know we want our youth to have right here in Durham. That self-awareness of your own behavior. And maybe the most important, that sense of belonging to a community. I want to say that again. That sense of belonging in a community. Youth participation, as we know, is something that is becoming increasingly more popular right here in our backyard and across the country. But what we also know, there's a divide that's happening. The cost to participate. 1 in 3 families that make $50,000 or less are saying it costs too much to participate. On average, over $2,200 was spent for travel teams across the country, and Durham is no different. Engage Comprehensive Plan, Engage Durham Comprehensive Plan. What we found is that recreation is one of the first things that's cut because of cost. So that's significant. That's something that we've talked internally about, and how can we make a difference as Discover Durham and a Durham Sports Committee. Lower socioeconomic families, kids spends 2 hours less participating in sport. compared to the higher socioeconomic families. One of the things that we understand is that poor quality facilities, parks, the lack of facilities, there is an opportunity for decreased participation, which means there is an increase potentially for negative behavior. And we've seen this throughout the country, and we're seeing it right here in our own community. The High School Federation mentioned that increased participation in high school sports, you have lower levels of major crime and lower levels of suspension rates. That's something that as we move forward, we want to keep in mind, thinking about expanding opportunities. We've talked about the benefit of sport participation. We've talked about access and opportunities and lack thereof and what that could do. And Madam Chair, you mentioned earlier that Durham is in the top 25. And so what we know is that we're going through this transformational period here, and growth is a part of that. In 1960, we know that just over 78,000 resided here in Durham. In 2021, over 326 resided here in Durham, and we know that we're going to continue to grow. Like many other communities here, neighboring Durham and around the country, they're experiencing growth too.
Yeah.
So what we're seeing going through this process, going through this study, is that we have communities across the country and right here in our backyard that are investing in this type of community asset. In Cary, they announced last spring that they are building a brand new 300,000 square foot facility, highlighting volleyball and basketball. Virginia Beach opened up in October of 2020, 285,000 square feet, highlighted by 200-meter hydraulically banked track, 16 basketball courts and volleyball courts. Rocky Mount opened up in October of 2018. The Rocky Mount Event Center, just over 165,000 square feet, a transformational facility for Rocky Mount, North Carolina. And then today, as we sit here, we see Durham, and we realize that we don't have that type of community asset currently. That's why we sit here before you to talk about this opportunity. On the outdoor side, London County, Virginia, opened up last September, 257 acres, 17 fields. All of the fields have lights. Wilmington, North Carolina broke ground in February, 64 acres, 11 fields, 5 of the fields will be lit. Durham County Memorial Stadium, see that 25 acres? Durham County Memorial Stadium represents that. And I want to lift up Zach Pritchard here today real quick. We've hosted 6 championships this past year at the stadium, and he's done a phenomenal job, and we value that partnership. And we'll continue to utilize Durham County Memorial Stadium. We also want to highlight Durham Parks and Rec and Wade Walcott and the work they've done. They opened up Merrickmore Park last year, just over 50 acres and 4 multi-purpose fields. But what we know, and when we look across the country and we look at what our neighbors are doing right here in our backyard and in the state and in the region, we know there's an opportunity for us to invest in a community asset. So the question for us collectively, why break ground now? Why now? We know we're going through this transformational period and this path forward. We also have an understanding, as Susan stated, that through this interlocal agreement, we were created to drive economic and social impact through sport. And as our vice chair, former vice chair Susan Scott mentioned, we were established to meet certain moments. And collectively, Durham, we have this opportunity to meet this moment. We have this opportunity to really invest in this type of community asset that can drive revenue, drive economic impact, and through sports tourism, fund a community asset that can provide opportunities for Durham through you. So what are the definitions of success? And you may have gotten tired of me saying community asset, right? That's number one for us. Expanding the opportunities for participation. This type of asset could be a significant driver of economic impact. It could also be something that is a sustainable business through sports tourism. The proposed concept, we want it to be flexible, large enough, but also a difference maker here in Durham. The indoor complex, just over 250,000 square feet, a 200-meter hydraulically banked track. What you see pictured there is the latest indoor track that opened up in Boston, the New Balance Center. Currently, there are 8 total 200-meter hydraulically banked tracks in the country. 12 basketball courts and volleyball courts, and a 5,000-seat arena. We also were intentional about creating additional space, just over 38,000 square feet of flex space, and being intentional about creating community programming and learning space, 4 basketball courts and volleyball courts, an additional to the 12, and then a 10,000 square foot family arena. And we've talked about having eSport being a part of that programmatic opportunity. The outdoor portion, just over 37 acres, 8 diamond fields, 4 multi-purpose fields, all synthetic turf, all having lights, creating that flexibility and that expansion for outdoor participation. Here's a snapshot of it again, just over 250,000 square feet, the indoor portion, an auxiliary gym and flex space, and then the outdoor portion, just over 37 acres. As mentioned, we were fortunate to have board members that really talked about going beyond sports and providing opportunities that are multi-purpose, community-based, and having really the community involved in this type of effort, and going beyond sports and providing non-sport opportunity. So as we look at this, there is a significant opportunity to really have a balance between the programmatic opportunities locally, but also be a significant driver of sports tourism. That Monday through Thursday supporting Durham in our backyard, and Friday through Sunday having that opportunity to recruit and retain regional and national events. The different programmatic opportunities, over 20 sports, ranging from your emerging sport opportunities, like esports, like stunt, like flag football, and then your traditional sports, like basketball, volleyball, and football, gymnastics, and wrestling. What these type of opportunities can do, and as we've talked about in terms of being a significant driver, it can help fund local opportunities here in Durham. We know that economic impact is a significant possibility for us with this community asset. Just wanted to share some numbers with you that Sports Events and Tourism Association provided in 2022. Over $91 billion in terms of sports tourism economic impact, $91 billion. Just over $12.9 billion in total tax revenue. 635,000 jobs generated through sports tourism. And when you sit back and you press pause and you think about Durham and our sweet spot, right? Youth sports, adult and amateur sports, and collegiate sports. 97% of the destinations hosted youth sport events. 97%. 94% adult and amateur, and 83% at the collegiate. That's Durham. When you think about that opportunity, that is Durham. The initial feasibility study that we did in 2021, it projected by year 3 to be profitable in this project. By year 5, over 100 events hosted and over $35 million generated. Before I turn it over to my teammate Susan, I just want to say thank you again for the opportunity to have this conversation and really discuss what this type of community asset could be. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so I'm going to bring it home here and talk about what we are working on right now, and we hope that we're in this final stretch before being able to come back to you with a full proposal. These are the things that we're working on right now. Marcus referenced the fact that there were initial financial projections, and what we're working on now. A few things have changed financially since the pandemic started, so we are updating all of those capital cost projections, updating the market analysis on participation levels. We are working on a community engagement program to get input from our community. We've gotten input from stakeholders and the user groups who would be using the facility. We're updating the financial forecast out of that, the economic impact analysis, and then moving into creating the recommendations package, which would include the definition of the project scope, the physical location recommendation, renderings, so that you have a chance to see the kind of thing that we have in mind, and what some approaches that we can use on financial planning for making this come together. We also have leadership site visits planned, and I believe at this point you have all heard about and been invited to the inner-city visit to Indianapolis this fall that the Chamber is coordinating, and we've been working with them. An important part of what we believe, as we consider an investment of this magnitude for our community, we think it's very helpful and important to see other facilities and understand how they were put together and what the results have been. And so Indianapolis includes a really important facility that we think will be very instructive. So we're hoping that all of you and others will be able to go and see that for yourselves and hear from the people who got it built, who had the vision for it and then made it happen. So then we'll be synthesizing all of our information and preparing to come back in front of you in the fall. So that covers our presentation. As Marcus said earlier, these are the 4 ways that we would measure success. And so this is a time where we, of course, are happy to take any questions that you have, and would also love to hear if there are certain things that you haven't heard us mention that you would really expect to see when we come back.
Thank you, Susan and Marcus. Thank you for the presentation. It's great to see what you're doing and the planning that you have in place. And of course, you know, I'm real curious as to what's next as far as facility, and you know, because I'm thinking 2029, and where is all of the events that is coming this way going to be taking place? So I'm really curious about that with the USA Games, and that's going to be right here in Durham and all across the region. So I'm curious about the planning as we go forth for that, and getting our young people in this community ready for those events. So you might not be ready to talk about that tonight, but that is something that I'm really curious about, what's happening. So if you don't want to, you don't have to comment on that, but that's just what's circulating here. And I will open it up to my board members for questions. Commissioner Lum.
Thank you so much for this presentation. This is really exciting to see all of the different sports and activities that are going to be available. I'm just really excited of just like the idea of growing up, if I had a space like this, how fun it would have been. I'm really glad like the focus that you're putting, especially on our youth that are coming from low-income families. My one thing that I would like to see when we come back to have this conversation further, and I know it's going to be later down the road, but for us to start having the conversations is around transportation and how are we going to make this space actually accessible to the youth that we really want to be able to have access to it. Are we going to be talking to the city and county transportation departments to make sure there's expanded bus routes? I think that needs to be a really big focal point as we further this discussion.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Carter?
Yes, thank you, Susan and Marcus. A very exciting presentation, and I believe, with my entire being, that being physically active and participating in sports for fun or for the competition of it really makes a difference in a person's life and in their future in so many ways. And you did such a great job of, highlighting the different ways that playing sports benefits people and children in particular. And I feel the most excited about the possibilities of opening up the benefits of play for more of Durham's youth. And my question is, I think it would be really helpful if there is a way to explain really clearly how this will do that. How will having the 250,000-foot indoor facility and more fields, et cetera, make it more readily available for all of Durham's children, in particular the ones that don't have access now. And so, I'm sure there are indirect ways and direct ways, and just lay it out for us. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And great question. And we've had several conversations about really access and opportunity, and this type of project, this type of community asset will do that. As we continue to go through this study, we will have conversations about making it accessible and the transportation and what that means across Durham. We want to make sure, because we've talked about it for 2.5 years now, that when we think about this type of asset, that the type of programmatic opportunities we have are inclusive. The way we lay out the facility itself, both indoor and outdoor, it's inclusive. The type of sports as well. Really thinking about that Monday through Thursday, as we mentioned, and really focused on the multi-purpose aspect of it. As Susan mentioned, when we come back in the fall, we will have more detailed responses and answers. But from a macro level, that's what we've discussed and really talked about, and really thankful to our board being intentional in that space.
I agree with that, and I really think it's. I really appreciate the way you led with your presentation with that. That was first, and I think that should be. Just a couple of quick questions. Are the city parks, all the city parks, currently included in that 25 acres that we have here in Durham of outdoor?
The 25 acres represented Durham County.
That it doesn't include the city. It includes southern boundaries, and I'm trying to think of the places my children used to play soccer. Out there off of near.
The footnote that says something about Merrick Moore.
Right, you mentioned Merrick Moore, and so
Right.
I'm just wondering, is it all of the parks and their baseball fields and tennis courts and?
So the what we highlighted was really championship level, tournament
level, okay.
type access to facilities. And so right now, Merrick Moore Park represents really tournament level.
I see.
And we highlighted Durham County Memorial Stadium, 25 acres, and that's a championship facility for us as well.
Right. Okay. And now this feels like an ignorant question, but I'm going to ask it. Does a county, does it make economic sense, social sense, whatever kind of sense for a county to and city to own the kinds of facilities that you're describing, which sound wonderful, and also a county stadium? There's ways that would work together, the interplay, or might one asset be traded for the other? I'm just not suggesting that, but I'm just wondering about of economic feasibility of it all.
And we've seen a lot of different operations throughout the country. And what is helping us now is just, again, going through that process. And as we go through that process and we come back in the fall, we'll definitely have more detailed answers, and we'll have a recommendation from our consultant on what we should do in terms of that space. But
Okay.
we've had some internal conversation regarding that.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
The other thing I would say is that the new facility does not take the place of and provide the same sort of layout as what the Durham County Stadium does. And our anticipation would be that the two of them together can support more tournaments, but they're not duplicative.
You bet.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good question, Heidi. That with the stadium that we already have, where with where are you considering, and I know you're not ready to talk about that right now, but it's like, would you ensure that the Snakes facility be someplace close by or annexed to, or, that kind of thing is, so would it be in a whole different area from that? So I'm just kind of wondering, what would make sense. And yeah, I get that you don't want to talk about it now. That's fine.
Well, that's
Those are-
okay. You want to take that? Would you like me to? Where to place it is one of the biggest questions, and we have identified some space that we're not ready to divulge yet until we've done the proper assessment work. But the ideal space would be something that allows for great access. And as we all know, Durham does not have tremendous amounts of acreage that are available for a project like this. So we are still, and we'll look forward to working with, I'd like to work more with the county staff so that we can talk about other options. We do have one that we are still exploring, and some others that we would like to take a closer look at.
And I do have, and I'll go to Commissioner Burns, just let me ask this, around equity for our young people, as you talked about the cost. And I'm hoping that that's a part of your plan, that looking at our young people that cannot afford these facilities, and that we have a lot of kids that can't afford. So to be able to to ensure that the planning includes kids that don't have a lot of parents that don't make a lot of money, so that they can be involved as well, because we need to have all of our children involved.
It's a great point, Madam Chair, and again, our board has been very intentional about making sure that it's top of mind as we continue to go through this process, and our consultants have brought up two different examples, one being Hoover Metplex, where the funds generated through hosting tournaments on the weekends really help offset community opportunities Monday through Thursday.
Yeah.
Another example is the Virginia Beach Sports Center. They've developed a fund specifically to offset costs to participate and utilize the facility. So we are definitely tracking on that. And again, it is top of mind for Discover Durham and the Durham Sports Commission.
And one of the things Marcus did about a year ago is start the One Team, One Durham Fund in Durham. And the purpose of that, which has already been building up funds, but a big intention around that is to be able to offer something along the lines of scholarships or grants for kids to participate who lack the means to do so themselves.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Burns?
Thank you, Madam Chair. We talking about a building, y'all. I mean, we're sitting here talking about all these pie in the sky ideas that this board has, and I share the sentiments of each of my colleagues. But y'all in here talking about a building. And you right, you said asset way too many times tonight. I'm gonna get at the source. We're gonna find something else, because we know that this complex is going to be an asset. I'm on the Memorial Stadium board, it's an asset. But everything that my colleagues asked for, I want no lip service for it. I need it in writing. I wish Mo was here with me tonight. I sit and you brought up Zach Pritchard. Zach and Mo and I have said in plenty of meetings where individuals wanted to use Memorial Stadium, and I had the votes on the board for Memorial Stadium to give it to them, to say, yes, you can use a track field, you can use a football field. But the rules say you can't use it without having access to the bathrooms. In order to use the bathrooms, they have to be electrostatically clean. That's $500. If you don't clean the bathrooms, you got to have a porta potty. That's $500. So my free help is not really free help, because at the end of the day, it's going to cost $500. So I need folks, when you say you being intentional, you need to be intentional. And I'm not hearing a lot of intentionality, and that's not a criticism of y'all. I will never forget that during COVID, that other body, not this administration, the past administration, saw fit to shut down every last one of the parks. They said nobody can play basketball, but you can play tennis and you can play golf. They kept the tennis courts open and the golf courses open. And then when it came time for basketball, that other body went and took the hoops down. When they saw black children out there playing on them, they took the hoops down during COVID. I have never seen such an act of racism, but that wasn't this mayor. It was the last administration. I don't have time for folks to sit in here and say, we're going to be intentional. It better be in the writing. Now, y'all came to us last October, and we had some questions. And now we about to do this again the next October and doing another year. So, yeah, I'm happy, Susan, you picked up your pen. I trust that you're going to write these questions down, too, because like the chair said, we can't go over everything tonight. In order to come to the Sports Commission to get money from y'all, you all are always telling everybody, well, we need to know what the economic impact was on the community. How many hotels did they use? I've seen you all sit up here and talk about how much y'all want to build, but I haven't heard any conversation about the co-location of hotels. So I don't know who is having that conversation. Because if you're going to have a complex this big, you're going to need some hotels that house it. Now, my chair asked a very valid question. She says, where y'all going to put this at? Well, we're pretty smart. Y'all need 40 acres of contiguous land. It ain't but a few places in Durham County where that's going to be at. All we got to do is close this meeting out, go across the street. I'll see what 3 places y'all are looking at. So it's not really a big secret. That's going to be what's going to cost y'all the most money. And that's what y'all going to have to come back and ask us for. My other question, I hope y'all go back and look at this video. Why are we not talking to the universities about it? The North Carolina General Assembly, in the event you put an academic program inside of our sports arena, will pay 40% of the cost. So why is nobody having this conversation? Also, you did a comparative analysis of these cities. How many of those cities actually have major universities like a North Carolina Central or Duke University, where the NCAA actually utilizes those spaces year to year? If I could not find a Triangle Business Journal article, but each year they go ahead and put out the swim meets 5 years in advance, the track meets 5 years in advance. You and Chair Howerton, you already know what's coming in 2029. So I want us to have these things. But already, some of y'all were over there at the city. They approved the South Point development. We don't see what the MWBE participation is going to be like. I can tell y'all right now, if y'all try to build something and you all don't think you're going to have some women or some minority contractors on it, and it is not in the writing, we will have a problem, whether I'm sitting in this chair or whether I'm sitting at the house. And so I do want some of those questions asked. I had one more that I want to throw out there. It's not the 40 acres. I got the hospitals. I want to know what collaborations outside of Parks and Rec, because when you all were here last October, I brought this up and I'm going to beat it like a dead horse. There were plenty of people talking about a complex 10, 15 years ago. And now all of a sudden that everybody's moving here, we want to talk about it. I think that there are very learned individuals in the community that can bring some valuable information, a valuable viewpoint to this. I think some of them coach at our local high schools because they know what the needs are of the children. They coach at North Carolina Central and Duke University, and I think they should be at the table because they can tell you what the NCAA is looking for. They can tell you what their students need right now at this very moment. And I know he's going to hate that I'm saying Lavelle Moulton has 2 basketball goals. Every other school has 6. He can't even practice in his gym because he has 2 basketball goals. I don't want us to come staggering out the gate when we do this. So we're talking about a building, but this is a board that cares about equity. So all of that has to be in there. So when you all come back to us, those devils have to be in those details, or I don't see it moving forward. We all are here for the building. I want the building to be available to everybody.
Thank you, Commissioner. That helps provide some additional detail, but I do want to assure you that those are things that we would like to address specifically. So thanks, that will help us flesh that out.
Any other questions, comments from commissioners? Just have one other one, but this one can hold for later. As far as space, conversation I had several years ago about a space, but I can hold that. We can have this conversation later when you're more ready to have a conversation about space. So, any other questions from this board? Okay, all right. I will close the public hearing. Let me see where we are. Did we open the public hearing? I can't remember if we opened.
Chair Howard,
I think we need to.
This was just a discussion.
Just a
No public
discussion?
hearing.
Okay, so we don't have to do that. Okay, then just a discussion? Thank you so much for your presentation and the information, all right?
Madam Chair?
So if this was just, excuse me,
I don't know.
Commissioner Alum?
Since this was just a discussion item, I don't know if we have the opportunity for public comment. I just saw that the individual in the front, he was raising his hand. I don't know.
I do not
sorry.
understand.
I was saying
do
that in the front, sorry, I don't know your name, sir. He had raised his hand. I don't know if citizens, do they have opportunity for public comment on discussion item? Yeah. Oh, he answered. Okay, perfect. Thanks.
Okay.
But in the future, just to answer that, because it is an item on the agenda, any citizen can come in and sign up to speak. So he would have still had the opportunity to speak.
All right. So if there's no other questions from this board, we will move on to our last item on the agenda is boards and commissioner appointments. And Attorney
Good evening.
Andrews.
Good evening, Madam Chair and board members. Tonight we have several boards and commissions with slots that you are electing, and I'll go through them alphabetically. So for this meeting, we will start with the Durham Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Committee. There are 3 vacant positions over 2 categories, and the board has selected for the Bicycle Community Rep, Kai Monast, for the Duke University Rep, Nathan Lee, and for the Disabilities Advocate, Edward Rizzuto. For the Board of Adjustment, the recommendation is for Michael Tarrant. For the Criminal Justice Advisory Committee, for 1 position, it is B. Angelo Birch, Sr. For the Durham County Women's Commission, there are 3 vacant at-large positions. You've selected Kathleen Lockwood, Roberta Price, Ashley Marshall. For the Durham Open Space and Trails Commission, Eric Faust. For the Durham Planning Commission, there's a vacant position for Magnum Township. You selected William Chris Young. For the Durham Racial Equity Commission, there's 1 position. You've recommended Ashreyas Good. For the Durham Sports Commission, an at-large position. You've recommended Jonathan Leach. For the Durham Workforce Development Board, there's 1 position. You've recommended Anthony Nelson. For the Environmental Affairs Board, there's a vacant position. You've recommended Malcolm Gregory. For the Homeless Services Advisory Committee, there are 2 positions in 2 categories. You've recommended Angela Holmes and Renee Vaughn. For the Jury Commission, there's a vacant position. You've recommended Tanette Amos. Now, there are 2 other boards that are included. They are the Juvenile Crime Prevention Council JCPC, and the Raleigh-Durham Airport Authority. It is staff's recommendation to the board that due to participation, that these items be pushed to the July 10th meeting, where we would have sufficient pool and sufficient vote to select candidates. So the last two, the staff recommendation up to your vote, is to hold those until the next meeting, July 10th.
Okay. Well, thank you, Attorney Andrews, and congratulations to all the citizens that have been appointed. We appreciate your participation and your desire to serve. Okay, is it anything else from this board that we need to cover? Given that this is our last meeting for this quarter, we just approved our budget. Yay, yay. Last meeting for this year. Our next meeting will be July 10th. And I think everybody is happy that they'll get a little bit of downtime. I know our clerk is, and I don't blame her. She gets to be away from us for a bit. So, is there anything else for this board? Commissioner Alam?
Yes, Madam Chair, I apologize for not bringing this up during a consent agenda, but just for the record and for the minutes, Commissioner Jacobs had sent me just a quick note that she would have liked to be read about the Carver Creek apartments. Can I just read that on her behalf?
You want to do what now?
She just had a quick comment that she sent me asking me if I could read it, and I forgot to bring it up during consent agenda. It's just like 2 lines. Just
Go ahead.
Because she is not able to be here because she's out of the country, but she just wanted to thank and express her gratitude for the strong partnership of so many and the support of our board and staff, city elected leaders and staff, leadership of Housing for a New Hope that is making this transformative project for our community possible to help support our most vulnerable residents in their greatest time of need, and her excitement for the next steps as we create together the vision and reality of a caring and healing Carver Creek campus community.
Okay, thank you. Anything else? You know, we really have had some really great things this year in our budget, and we do appreciate all the commissioners and all the staff, the work that the staff invested in jumping through the hoops that this board put them through. And we know we do that. We know. We call on you to do so many things, but just know that we appreciate the work that you do, and always thank you. Thank you, Monica. Thank you, attorneys. Because we call these folks any time of the day or night or weekend, and they respond. And our manager. We thank you. So if there's nothing else, I will ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and properly second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We are adjourned. Thank you.